Today, our goal is to discuss the angle relationships that you have in parallel lines cut by a transversal. So there are about 5 different names of relationships in parallel lines cut by transversal, but I'm going to focus on 2 main ones. First of all, I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. I'm using a lot of vocabulary words here. So here are 2 parallel lines. They are lines that'll never meet, they'll never touch. And they're being cut by this line right here, which is called a transversal. Now, I want you to just take a look at this image. You may be able to recognize it. And let me see if you remember anything about it. So what you can see is that we have 2 kinds of angles here. Every other angle is equal to each other. So if you take a look here, angles 1 and 4 are vertical angles. So they're equal. But now if I slide this whole entire thing down, so watch what I'm about to do. I'm just going to do a little sketch of it. So I'm going to do like this. And I'm call this 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I slide this whole thing down, what you'll see is that 1 and 4 end up equivalent to 6 and 8. So really everything matches above and below. So what I like to do is I like to put my initials, or you could use X's and O's. So my initials are NT. So I'm going to do NT and then TN because it has to alternate, just like X's and O's alternate. So now you'll see it says NT, 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 NT. So because they alternate, your trick here is to know that all the ends are equal to each other. So if I pick any 2 angles and they're both ends, they're equal. And a T should equal a T. So all the T's are equal. And then if I pick one N and one T, they're not equal to each other. But let's take a look here. Here's an N and here's a T. So angle 1 and 2 do what together? You should be saying to yourself, hey, they make a straight line, so they must add up to equal 180. They are supplementary. So really, that's all you have to know about these. Now, I mentioned that there are 2 relationships that are most important for you to know. And that is, this first one is called alternate interior angles. And let me show you what that looks like. So if I have parallel lines with a transversal, alternate interior angles are the angles that are inside these parallel lines. So here's the inside space of the parallel lines, and on alternate sides of this line. So let's say here's one angle on the inside. So that's on the top left. So the alternate interior would be on the bottom right. Now, I also like to call this the Z, because if I can make the letter Z, oops, I'm just trying this out, which I kind of can here, at the corners of those Z's, right here and right here, are my alternate interior angles. That also works if I wanted to do this backwards, so, or if the lines were different. So I'm going to make another pair of parallel lines here, cut by, a transversal going this way. So this one will look more like an N, but still it's almost like making the letter Z. So notice it could be forwards, it could be backwards, but as long as I can make like a Z, there are my alternate interior angles. And those are always equal. So I'll put that relationship here for you. They are, I'm going to abbreviate it, alternate interior angles are congruent. So that's one that comes up, vocab-wise, that's one that comes up pretty often. And then the other kind of angle that also comes up often is called corresponding. Now this word should sound familiar because corresponding is used in many ways. It's kind of ones that, go with each other. So let's say I have parallel lines here. And I actually already represented it for you in that picture just not long ago. It's if I have angles 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's asking if I take this section up here So in this section, what would correspond to angle 2? If I slid this down, what angle does it correspond with? Meaning if I slid it down, what does it overlap? Now some of you are able to easily see it, some of you not so much. We're talking about this angle right here. So I have angle 2 is right here on the top right. So down here on the top right, I have angle number 6. So those are my corresponding angles. So 2 and 6 correspond. And corresponding angles are also congruent. Okay, so I'm going to do it the other way so you could see. If I had angles cut by a transversal this way, let's say I chose this angle right here, the corresponding angle to that, now notice I always have to drag along the parallel lines. So in this example, I'm just trying to show you, here's the angle. If I slid it across the transversal to the other parallel line, there is my other corresponding angle. So these two angles correspond, and also they are congruent. So those are the two most common ones that come up. Now the reason why that's important is because in a multiple choice or in a free response or something like that, it's very good to know these vocabulary words. So let me continue here and take a look. I'm going to do just 3 examples with you. Let's take a look here. Now I told you my trick is I like to alternate my initials. So N, T, T, N, N, T, T, N, and make sure that this and this match, as if I take this and I slid it down, it would match. Now notice, this is an N and this is an N, so they are equal to each other. Now you could have also figured that out because they're actually vertical angles. So I'm going to set these two equal to each other and solve for x here. So if I subtract over 8x, I get x plus 9. And then if I subtract over the 9, I get x equals 10. Okay. So let me try this again here. Now this one's not as easy to see, but if I do my initials and I make sure they match on the bottom and I'm always alternating, I'll see that this is an N and this is also an N. So they are also equal to each other. So I'm going to set these equal. If I subtract over the x, I get 2x minus 31 equals 59. And then if I do 59 plus 31, I get 2x equals 90. And then if I divide by 2, I get x equals 45. And then the last example I'd like to do with you. Now, some of you may be able to recognize this already, but even if I did my n's and my t's, now you could use whatever initials you want. I try to avoid x because I don't want to mix it up with the x's we have. So notice here, this one is an N and this one is a T. So they're not equal to each other. They're not the same. That means they should add up to 180. Now again, I said some of you may have already recognized it because it was on a straight line. They were supplementary as well. See how they're on a straight line together? So I have to combine like terms, which I get 11x. And then a negative 33 plus 4 is a negative 29. When I do 180 plus the 29, I get 11x equals 209. And then when I divide by 11, I get x equals 19. So there are some more examples. If you want to do the practice, I have it attached in the lesson. I'm actually going to scroll through them. I already did the answers. So if you want to pause it here first, go to the attachment, try out the questions, and then come back and complete this, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay, so hopefully you now completed the practice. So here are the rest of the answers. Pause it if you need to. Recognize that if they were the same letter, I'd set them equal. If they were different letters, I added them to 180 because they are supplementary. Here are some more. Pause it wherever you need to. And hopefully you understand now the relationship in the angles when you have parallel lines cut by a transversal. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great day. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can contact me on Schoology. Have a great day.